Hey folks, Erick Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast live stream. You know, we've talked a bunch about the Iranian axis, of course, here on the show over the months, really over the years. Iran, its ring of fire, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, etc. But what about the growing, once again, Sunni jihadi movement? Remember that Iranian axis is largely Shia. Iran and Hezbollah, the major players in it, the Houthis, Shia as well. But the Sunni wing. And to me, it's best represented, or should I say worst represented, by Al-Qaeda, ISIS, but even more so, the Muslim Brotherhood. Remember them? I call the Brotherhood the granddaddy of them all when it comes to modern day Islamic terror organizations founded in 1924 in Egypt. Hassan al-Banna, Sayyid Qutb, some of the leading lights of the Muslim Brotherhood movement. These are the forefathers of that terror organization. They really got the ball rolling. Al-Banna first, and then Sayyid Qutb took the ball and ran with it later on, wrote a very famous book called Milestones, which really popularized for the modern day this notion of offensive jihad, going on the offensive against the infidel and waging jihad worldwide. So not to get too in the weeds, but that gives you some backdrop on who the Muslim Brotherhood are. Look, every major Al-Qaeda leader, ISIS leader, when it comes to bin Laden, Ayman al-Zawahiri, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed in the Al-Qaeda realm, in ISIS, al-Baghdadi, before they belonged to Al-Qaeda, ISIS, they belonged to the Muslim Brotherhood. The Brotherhood is the gateway drug for Islamic terror. And here's their motto, by the way, to give you an idea of what the Muslim Brotherhood is all about. Here it is, their official motto: Allah is our objective. The Prophet is our leader. The Quran is our law. Jihad is our way. Dying in the way of Allah is our highest hope. So not a very moderate group, I should say, but the mainstream media and the left over the years has painted the Brotherhood into this great group of moderates, even though you heard the motto, you see the track record of them, again, being the gateway drug, bin Laden, all the rest went through the Brotherhood before they graduated, so to speak, into the more violent wing of jihad. What about Hamas? Talk about the Brotherhood being moderate. What about Hamas? Hamas is the self-identified Palestinian branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. And I'm glad we're talking about this today, and we've got breaking news about the Brotherhood. That's why we're talking about it, because again, I said at the top, we're talking a bunch, Iran, Hamas, Hezbollah. The Brotherhood is a very dangerous, shadowy organization that people need to know about. I wrote an entire book about the Muslim Brotherhood back in 2013 called The Brotherhood. You can still check it out, Amazon.com, wherever books are sold. But Hamas, the self-identified Hamas, a violent, vicious terror organization, clearly, the self-identified Palestinian branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. So you know where this is going. And yet, despite this report out of Jordan, which you need to know about, right at Israel's doorstep, what just happened with a major Muslim Brotherhood cell, violent terror cell, being rolled up and taken out by Jordanian authorities. And yet, the Brotherhood, again, has been portrayed in the mainstream media and Western diplomats and officials and politicians and the left, of course, saying, look, the Brotherhood is a nonviolent movement. They're nonviolent. Yes, they're an Islamist movement, and they believe in Sharia law and all the rest, but they're not violent. Look, the Muslim Brotherhood, hey, they wear suits and ties. They're well-spoken, they're eloquent, they're Western educated. You don't have to worry about them. That was the view, certainly, of the Obama administration and of many in Europe over the years. And folks, look, I have interviewed Muslim Brotherhood leaders in the UK, in Germany, in Belgium, and beyond. This was more 2010, 2011, 2012. Now they see me coming from a mile away. When you have over 1 million subscribers on YouTube, your profile tends to raise, and a nightly TV show on TBN. But they agreed to talk to me in 2010, 2011, 2012, and I included these interviews, 2013, in my book about the Muslim Brotherhood. But again, they showed up in suits and ties. They were well-spoken. They were quite charming to talk to, chat with. And in the interviews, and I was not a confrontational gotcha type interviewer. I never have been. I kind of let them hang themselves. If I interview someone who's a radical or a bad actor, but they were very savvy, media savvy, clearly, in the way they presented their case. It was very interesting. And look, part of the Brotherhood's plan is to ingratiate themselves in the media, in academia, in the government, get prominent, influential positions, and conquer from within. It's the enemy within, and it's incremental, stage by stage, very, very patient. Now, contrast that from Al Qaeda or ISIS. Look, they want to kill you now, blow you up now. They want the caliphate now. They want domination now. Whereas the Brotherhood says, guys, hold on. Let's do this through the political process. We can use, in the West in particular, we can use our own system against them and bring them down from within without firing a shot until the final stage, I should say. The final stage is violent jihad, but there's stages to it. There's levels to it. They gain power, they gain numbers, they gain influence, and then they are ready to take over. That is the plan. Sounds a lot like the radical left, right? I mean, very similar. It's been called an unholy alliance between radical Islamists and the radical left. Their modus operandi is similar in some ways, incremental, bit by bit. There's phases to it. Conquer, subvert from within, undermine from within. Sounds like communist, Marxist. They have similarities with the Islamists in that regard. But that's how the Brotherhood is operated. Look at Recep Erdogan in Turkey, the radical Turkish leader who wears a suit and tie. He's meeting with world leaders and diplomats, but he holds the Muslim Brotherhood ideology. Essentially, he and his Justice and Development Party in Turkey, they're essentially the Turkish branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. So this is how they operate. Now, you know, that little preamble there was, if you might say, wow, you know, I've heard of the Muslim Brotherhood. I don't know a lot about them. They're a shadowy organization, and intentionally so, by the way. They intentionally keep kind of that shadowy facade. Now you know. That was the Cliff Notes version of what the Brotherhood is, what they're all about. And essentially, folks, what they want at the end of the day is Sharia law for one and all, whether you like it or not. They want the return of the caliphate, that kind of united Islamic union of all Muslim nations, united under one supreme leader called a caliph. That's what they want. And that's also what ISIS wants. It's also what Al Qaeda wants. They all want the same thing. The end game is the same, but the tactics, the strategy are different. As I said, the Brotherhood, bit by bit, incrementally, whereas Al Qaeda, ISIS, they're impatient. They want it now. And that's why many times you'll see, I mentioned earlier, the Brotherhood's kind of the gateway drug. It's the ideological incubator for all of this. But some get impatient with the Brotherhood's slow, subversive strategy. And they say, no, we want to pick up arms. We want to fight now. We want violent overthrow now. That's when they move on to ISIS or Al Qaeda. But the Brotherhood is a gateway drug, the incubator. Make no mistake about it. Okay, now you know who the Muslim Brotherhood is. Here's some important news out of Jordan, a crucial nation, Israel's neighbor to the east, a strong ally of the West and the United States as well. Jordan has excellent security services, excellent intelligence services, and a strong military for a country its size, which is small. Jordan's always been kind of beleaguered on every border. It has hostile forces. But within is always an issue in Jordan because the vast majority of the Jordanian population is Palestinian. And the Muslim Brotherhood historically has been very strong in Jordan. And they've got a political presence in Jordan as well, does the Brotherhood. So the Brotherhood has been a problem in Jordan for years, which brings us to our news. From the Jerusalem Post, the title is encouraging. Has Jordan struck a blow against Muslim Brotherhood-backed terror? And here we go. Some of the details on this plot. The Kingdom of Jordan arrested 16 members of what is believed to be a Muslim Brotherhood-linked terrorist cell that was involved in assembling rockets and threats to the country of Jordan. The plot, according to a Jordanian government statement released just yesterday, the plot aimed at harming national security, sowing chaos, and causing material destruction inside the kingdom. The plot is seen, the Jerusalem Post says, as a serious development in Jordan. It's usually stable, but in recent years, there have been Iranian-backed plots, surprise, surprise, against Amman, and groups that back Hamas also want to destabilize the kingdom. The fact that the terror cell sought to assemble rockets and drones, I mean, on Jordanian soil, is also a major development, the Jerusalem Post says, and rightly so. This is more than just smuggling weapons or explosives. It illustrates thought and know-how. So these were trained operatives of the Brotherhood on Jordanian soil. And what were they plotting? Drones, rockets against the king, against King Abdullah? What were they plotting? Or were they plotting some sort of raid or strike into Israel? Were they plotting to collaborate with Hamas and other Palestinian terror factions that may have a foothold inside Jordan? Know this, that the Muslim Brotherhood is banned in other countries in the region. The United Arab Emirates has banned the Brotherhood. Egypt has banned the Brotherhood, and others. Now, Egypt, as I mentioned earlier, that was the birthplace of the Muslim Brotherhood. And if you think back, and more on Jordan in a minute, but another little caveat here. If you think back to 2013, 2012, the heyday of the so-called Arab Spring, which quickly devolved into an Islamist winter, the Brotherhood was ascendant. I mean, in Egypt, Mohammed Morsi, a Brotherhood member, became president of Egypt. Now, he was eventually overthrown, and al-Sisi became president, and the Brotherhood was just neutralized in Egypt. And Sisi got that under control real quick, which he needed to. But can you imagine if the Muslim Brotherhood, if Morsi stayed in power, what would have happened vis-a-vis Israel and Egypt? You would have had a Muslim Brotherhood state in Egypt, in the largest, or I should say the most populous Arab nation. A lot of people say, as Egypt goes, so goes the Middle East, so goes the region. Well, Egypt went into the radical Islamist camp for about a year under Morsi and the Brotherhood. And it was quickly devolving into chaos. And then Sisi stepped in and said, enough is enough. And Egyptian authorities disbanded the Muslim Brotherhood. And not for the first time. Nasser also disbanded the Brotherhood back in the 1950s. So I've described them as jihadi vampires, the Muslim Brotherhood, in that they continue to rear their heads every few decades. They get strong again, and it's tough to kill them and tough to keep their ideology down. And Hamas is the most visible practitioner of where the Brotherhood's ideology leads. Again, in the Hamas Charter, released in 1987, the official founding charter of this vicious, demonic terror organization, they describe themselves as the Palestinian branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. That tells you all you need to know, folks. For anyone saying, hey, the Brotherhood's moderate, look at Erdogan. Erdogan, look, the rhetoric, calling on Allah last week, Allah, just a week ago, we talked about this here, calling on Allah to destroy Israel. I mean, when people tell you they want to kill you, look, if the 20th century taught us anything, the century of Mao, Hitler, Stalin, Saddam, of the Muslim Brotherhood, it's that when evil men tell you they want to kill you, you should take them very seriously. You should take them at their word. Don't take them at their word on anything else, but on that, take them at their word. So the Brotherhood's been very clear, the Brotherhood and its acolytes, about what they believe and what they want to do. So what does Jordan do now with this new plot? To me, expect a crackdown, number one. This was major. 16 Brotherhood members building drones and rockets to do God knows what inside a crucial nation, the nation of Jordan, crucial to Israel and to the West and to the region, to the stability of the region. Now, I expect a crackdown from Jordan. That's number one. But number two, this comes against a very interesting backdrop in the region, obviously, which we got to discuss, which includes a potential military strike any minute on Iran's nuclear facilities, and which includes increasing talk, folks, of Hezbollah, yes, Hezbollah, being disarmed. Can that happen? Can that really happen? Can the most powerful terrorist organization in the world, well, at least they were before this past fall and Israel laying down the hammer on their heads, but can they be disarmed after 43 years of building up a massive arsenal? Are we really at that moment? I'm going to break that down in a minute. Before I do, number one, if you like what you're hearing, it is current events, breaking news, chiefly out of the Middle East and Israel, but we go around the world, around the horn as well. And it's from an unapologetically biblical perspective. If you want to join our over 1 million subscribers, just click the subscribe button and click the notification bell as well, so you get alerts every time a new video is posted. We come to you on most weekdays and sometimes on the weekends, depending on the news cycle. That's number one. Number two, hey, it's Passover and it's Easter. Passover and Easter converge this year, and our friends in Israel right now, look, folks, it's a very difficult Passover, needless to say. The second in a row where Israel is consumed in war on 7 fronts. 7 fronts. The people of Israel, a tiny nation the size of the state of New Jersey, are fighting wars. And Gaza right now, of course, is the most visible signal of that, where you still have dozens of live hostages and the remains of others, 59 in all live and their remains. It's a difficult time. And this is a time of great need for the people of Israel, especially during the crucial Passover season. It's a time to support our good friends and partners for today's live stream, Mer Panim. It's israelcharity.org. I've been working with Mer Panim for years now. And folks, I don't say it lightly when I say they're doing God's work. A little bit about what Mer Panim is doing now for this Passover season and how you can help and what they've done so far. Here's what they've done over the past year alone. Mer Panim has distributed 125,000 holiday pantry boxes every holiday in Israel to needy families. They provided over 2.6 million meals, 2.6 million to Israelis in need. They've supported 2,000 displaced families every day. They've cared for over 2,200 Holocaust survivors. They're helping and blessing Israel's most vulnerable. I've worked with Mer Panim. I've fed Holocaust survivors alongside my friends from Mer Panim. It's amazing. They've supported widows, mothers, wives of IDF soldiers who are at war right now. They've renovated 500 homes for Holocaust survivors and impoverished Israelis. They have fed over 1.2 million people over the past year alone. This is a great organization, folks. I mean, I'm all about Genesis 12:3, the biblical mandate to bless Israel. Israelcharity.org, israelcharity.org, for such a time as this, for Passover, for Easter in Israel. It is israelcharity.org. And here's what Mer Panim wants to accomplish this Passover season. Hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of grocery shopping carts for families in need so they can get what they need for the holiday, to have a good meal, a good Passover Seder meal. Remember the Last Supper, Jesus and the disciples, that was a Passover Seder meal. Well, the people of Israel are observing that as well. And they need meals. They need over 25,000 ready-made meals that Mer Panim is supplying, over 100,000 pantry bags with staple foods, bread, butter, milk, and then dozens of fully prepared Passover Seder meals. And it's coming up. I mean, Passover is drawing to a close, April 19th. Today's April 16th. So Israel could use a few good friends. They could use you right now. And Mer Panim is a great way to do it. israelcharity.org. It's israelcharity.org. This is an organization I strongly believe in and support, and I have for years. israelcharity.org. And happy Passover, Chag Sameach, to all my Israeli and Jewish friends around the world. And of course, happy Easter, happy Resurrection Day to all my Christian friends as well. Okay. It is not a happy day for Hezbollah. Now, I mentioned earlier, we did a breakdown of the Muslim Brotherhood. And by the way, before we talk about Hezbollah, but it all blends in, is this a moment where the Brotherhood feels ascendant? Because that's pretty bold to hatch a plot on Jordanian soil, knowing that Jordan has excellent intelligence services and security services in particular. Look, you're hatching a plot on Jordanian soil, building drones and rockets. Pretty bold. Now, is the Brotherhood seeing a vacuum? Are they sensing opportunity? We'll talk about this in a second. The Iranian Axis, the Iranian Ring of Fire, was the main power broker, the kingpin in the region for years. It's all collapsed over the past few months. Hezbollah, Hamas licking their wounds. They will never be the same. Israel has smashed them. Islamic Jihad as well in Gaza. Assad in Syria, gone. The Houthis in Yemen, look, the U.S. today, President Trump ordered more heavy airstrikes against the Houthis today. The Shia militias in Iraq have been quiet as of late. And Iran itself, its economy is in tatters. Israel destroyed Iran's air defense, much of its missile development capabilities. Iran and its ring of fire are hurting. They're in a bad place. So are the Sunni jihadists, the Muslim Brotherhood types, are they now sensing a vacuum and looking to fill the vacuum? We think of Turkey, of course. Erdogan's feeling pretty good about himself right now. And we think of Syria, this new al-Qaeda-linked jihadist government that's taken hold in Syria since December, strongly backed by Turkey, surprise, surprise. And now you have the Brotherhood in Jordan stirring things up. So you could have an arc from Jordan to Syria on up to Turkey, a Muslim Brotherhood arc. You could, God forbid. What I'm saying is this: the Sunni jihadis who've taken a lot of lumps over the past decade. President Trump crushed the ISIS caliphate. The Brotherhood was crushed in Egypt. They were taken out of power in Tunisia. Hamas, the Palestinian branch of Brotherhood, they're getting their tails kicked. So they took a lot of lumps. But now, could we see a resurgence from the Sunni wing of the jihad? Now the Shia wing, led by Iran and Hezbollah, is so weakened. We could. And I think the boldness shown by this Jordanian Muslim Brotherhood terror cell is alarming and something we need to watch closely. And that's why I'm talking about it today, because we have the most educated audience on YouTube. I like to say that about our watchmen and women on the wall. We've got a very lively chat going on right now. But you need the ideological, you need the intellectual ammo, you need the facts, you need what's going on so we can make the case for faith, family, and freedom in America and around the world, and make the case for the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But Hezbollah does not believe in that God, and they've been crippled, as the Times of Israel lays out here. I'm just reading this straight off my phone. Hezbollah has been crippled by months of war with Israel. And now the once unthinkable is possible. The Times of Israel says the disarmament of Hezbollah could finally be within reach as the United States pushes Lebanon, which is Hezbollah's home base, to act and applies pressure to Hezbollah's backer, Iran, over its nuclear program. Hezbollah was left badly weakened by more than a year of hostilities with Israel, beginning with Hezbollah's campaign of rocket fire, which they unilaterally, without provocation, started against Israel. Now they're reaping the whirlwind. They're reaping what they've sown, is Hezbollah. The war has changed the situation on the ground in Lebanon. Many of the group's leaders have been killed. Hezbollah has been severely weakened. And now, one expert says it's conceivable to think that Hezbollah could move towards disarmament and potentially even participate in that process willingly. That's how weakened Hezbollah has been. And folks, you won't see me crying any tears for them. It couldn't happen to a more wretched, demonic death cult of modern day Nazis than Hezbollah. Let's face it. Look, when this war started, when Hezbollah started this war on October 8th, the day after October 7th, Hezbollah again unilaterally began firing rockets, drones at Israel, attacking without provocation. At that time, Hezbollah's entire leadership was intact. Hezbollah had at least 150,000 rockets, missiles, tens of thousands of drones, tens of thousands of well-trained, confident foot soldiers, a tunnel network throughout Lebanon stretching into northern Israel. Now it's all been smashed. It's in tatters. And now they're licking their wounds and they have their tails between their legs. Talk of Hezbollah disarming. Now, let me preface this by saying I find that very unlikely. Very unlikely, unless, here's where the plot thickens, unless Iran agrees to a deal with the United States that leaves Iran severely weakened unless one of the precepts of any Iran deal, one of the requirements is Iran, you must stop funding terror. You must cease and desist your support of proxies. Here's what I think. Any nuclear deal with Iran worth the paper, the parchment it's written on, here's what it must include. Number one, look, it's very much like the 2003 deal that Libya struck with the world when Gaddafi gave up his nuclear program. Number one, the complete and utter dismantlement of every single Iranian nuclear site in Iran. I think there's 12 of them scattered throughout the country, some buried deep underground, heavily fortified. Enough. Completely dismantled and shut down. Number two, inspectors can come in whenever they want and inspect and make sure Iran's not revving up the uranium enrichment again. Number three, Iran ends its ballistic missile program, including missiles that they're building that could hit the United States, in addition to Israel and Europe. And number four, Iran, again, cease and desist from sponsoring terror. Hamas, Houthis, Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah, the militias, etc. Those are the four, for me, prerequisites. Any deal that does not include those 4 points is not worth the parchment it's written on. So that brings us to Hezbollah. Say Iran does agree to such a deal, which again, I find that highly unlikely, but we're going through the motions. There were nuclear talks in Oman last week between the U.S. and Iran, indirect talks. And there's round two this Saturday. Also, it appears in Oman. At first, they'd said Rome. Now it looks like it's going to be Oman. My view is that President Trump's giving Iran one last chance. And I think President Trump probably feels they're not going to agree to these demands either. And I think the inevitable outcome here is military action. We've said that a bunch. The U.S. and Israel probably working in tandem. Israel may be taking the lead, as President Trump said just last week. But say Iran does agree to a deal, and it's not completely outside the realm of possibility. They've been so weakened, the Iranian regime, they're in shambles. For the survival of their regime, they may just say, okay, we'll take a deal. Say they do. And part of that deal is you can't sponsor your proxies anymore. Hezbollah's in deep trouble, folks, if that happens. So under that scenario, yeah, I could see Hezbollah laying down their arms or disarming, but then they cease to exist because they're not Hezbollah anymore. Listen, Hezbollah, Hamas, Iran's Ayatollahs, they exist for one reason and one reason only: to maim and to murder, to rape and to pillage and to destroy Israel, then destroy the West and America and subvert the world, conquer the world, subdue the world under Islamic Sharia law. That's why they exist. So if they disarm, they obviously won't accomplish those sinister goals. So who are they at that point? They're not Hezbollah anymore. They're not Hamas anymore. With no weapons, no capability to wage jihad, who are they? That's why if they have that choice, do they go out in a blaze of glory in their view and go out swinging and go out firing? Or do they willingly lay down their arms and say, okay, we're playing the long game and we'll rebuild and rearm secretly. It may take 20, 30 years, but we'll do it. They're in a tough spot. And again, to me, it's glorious for the free world that this is everything that they've brought on themselves. And they're going to have dialogue with the Lebanese government. Now, the Lebanese government, at one time, the Lebanese armed forces were weaker than Hezbollah. Hezbollah, prior to this fall, when Israel really laid down the hammer, Hezbollah was the strongest fighting force in Lebanon, stronger even than the regular Lebanese armed forces. It's all changed now. And Lebanon has a golden opportunity to uproot Hezbollah and to disarm Hezbollah. If they've got the guts to do it, Lebanon's current leaders, they really could. This is the time. And it's not like Iran is going to run to Hezbollah's rescue. So Hezbollah right now is really isolated, folks, and really ripe for the picking. Still dangerous. Don't get me wrong. Still have tens of thousands of rockets, missiles, still have foot soldiers. I get it. But if there's a concerted effort right now, they can really be uprooted. It won't be easy, but man, are they weak and man, are they isolated. And their Iranian master ain't coming around that corner to help. because Iran itself is weak and isolated and in a bad way. So what you're watching is the methodical dismantling of Iran's ring of fire, and it happened in a matter of months. Years and years and years of building up their proxies, arming, training them, funding them, and now it's all collapsing. And it's a glorious sight to behold. And my last word of caution here before we go is you've got Iran cornered right now. They've never been weaker. They're ripe for their nuclear program is ripe for the picking. Do not let them off the hook. Please do not let them off the hook. Do not agree, if you're President Trump, do not agree to a nuclear deal that's flimsy, that leaves them to essentially fight another day and to still keep their nuclear dreams alive. I don't think President Trump would do that. Just judging by his statements just the other day as well, and what he's been saying all along, he's not going to allow nuclear Iran. And I give President Trump the benefit of the doubt, to say the least, in that he took a harder line than any other U.S. president in history against Iran during his first term. And he's been the most pro-Israel president in history. So let's see what happens here. He's a smart guy. President Trump, he knows what he's doing. He's a great deal maker. So let's see how it plays out this Saturday, round 2 of these talks with Iran. Man, a lot going on, right? I don't know about you, but it feels like the calm before the storm right now. It feels like there's things moving, prophetic chess pieces moving, and there's some storms coming. This is the relative calm, I should say, before some storms. Fasten your seatbelts. Again, 2025, the year of reckoning for Iran's nuclear weapons program. Hey, thanks for joining us today. Great being with you. Hey, remember also, we've got my nightly show on TBN. It's called Stakelbeck Tonight. And if you're more of a YouTube online viewer, we have a Stakelbeck Tonight YouTube channel as well that you can subscribe to here. And we've got clips from the show posted there every day. And hey, I'm also on X, Facebook, Instagram. Be sure to follow me across social media, not just YouTube. And we've got original content and clips there as well that I think you'll like. So have a great night. Thanks so much for joining us. Until next time, God bless you. And remember, never hold your peace. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Watchman Newscast. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an upload, and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. And don't forget to share your thoughts, insights, and comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.